What is going on, guys? It's Sloppy Saturdays back here with another episode. And today we're going over a topic that we have continued to go over on this channel. It is a very controversial one. It is Drew Allar staying another year at Penn State, not entering the NFL draft. And the reason why we are going over this topic yet again, because this news is continuing to heat up as the Browns basically said that they were likely to draft Drew Allar at 2 if he went to the NFL draft. This would have completely changed the NFL landscape. We know the Browns QB room. We have talked about it. It is the most controversial QB room in football right now. When you talk about Deshaun Watson, the minimal investment in Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett, the two quarterbacks they drafted in this year's draft class, Dylan Gabriel in the third round, Shedeur Sanders sliding all the way down, which everybody just continuously talking about. That would have been a whole different QB room, and they would have made a true investment at a quarterback with Drew Allar with the number 2 overall pick to be their franchise quarterback. That obviously does not happen. It also changes the landscape in the NFL as well because the Jaguars would have likely never been able to get Travis Hunter. They trade up to the number 2 overall pick to get him, and we're looking at a generational talent in Travis Hunter, possibly being in a different organization if Drew Allar comes out. Again, could have completely changed the landscape of the NFL, but he decides to stay at Penn State. Now, I have told you guys over a course of videos on this channel discussing this topic that I have been indifferent about the topic. I understand both sides of why you would like Drew Allar staying, why you would hate Drew Allar staying. But over the last week, I have really came to a true decision, and I absolutely love the idea of Drew Allar staying. Now, a lot of people might think I'm crazy. When you talk about Drew Allar, if he would have came out this year, he would have completed his ultimate goal, going as a top pick in the NFL draft. Again, in the big picture, him staying at Penn State, what does he have to ultimately gain to his NFL career? Nothing. What does he have to lose? A lot. I mean, when we look at guys like Quinn Ewers, Carson Beck, we were talking about them this time this year being first round draft picks. Carson Beck has to stay another year because his draft stock was completely demolished. Quinn Ewers, he goes in the 7th round. So there's a lot you could lose from 1 year. And Drew Allar is, like I said, guaranteed to be a top pick in this year's draft. But if you're a college football fan, if you love college football, if you heard what was going on with Nico Iamaleava, him wanting more money, transferred to a different school, completely breaking his promise to Tennessee, and hurting himself in the end of it. And if you're in the new age of college football with NIL, people playing football for the wrong reasons, you should absolutely love Drew Allar's decision. Now, Drew Allar, again, he committed to Penn State. He made a promise to Penn State. He wants to give it his all to them. He wants to deliver a national championship to this program. Penn State had the ideal offseason for this. They were able to keep a majority of their stars. When we talk about on the defensive side of the ball, Zakee Wheatley, Zane Durant, you talk about Denai Dennis Sutton, the second best player on their defense, staying linebacker, ready to take the hold of that defense from Abdul Carter. When you look at their offense, they have 2 NFL backs staying, Nick Singleton, Katron Allen. Those are huge decisions for those running backs. When we look at running backs and their money window, it is way shorter than a quarterback. They decide to stay for him. They get 2 big transfers at the receiver position. You talk about Devontae Ross out of Troy. He had 1,100 yards last year from Troy, and Troy's been a school that we know has been able to develop wide receivers and put them in bigger programs. Look at Tez Johnson over the last year or two. He was the main option for Oregon this year. Now, Drew Allar never really had a vertical threat on this Penn State team, a true vertical threat. And I believe that's why he's been playing in handcuffs the last couple of years. When you look at a guy that's 6'5", 238 pounds, he can make any throw on the field. He's sneaky athletic, can run the ball. Why has he only had topped out, never had 3,500 yards in a college football season, never had a 30 touchdown season in college football? Even though he could have went as a number 2 overall pick this year, he has left a lot on the table. If he was in a different style offense, we could have seen him absolutely explode, and we could have seen his potential and really what he can do go through the roof. And I believe that's what's going to happen this year for this Penn State team. I have this Penn State team as top of the odds to win the national championship. They are my national championship favorite. like I said, with all the veterans returning, with the transfers, with what they were able to get in their receiver room, which I think is going to be the best that Drew Allar ever had in his career. I think they made the right investments for that. And I think they're going to really let Drew Allar unleash in this offense. I think Drew Allar made the right move staying. Again, I think he could be a Heisman Trophy winner. I think he could be a national championship winner. I really think he could deliver on his promise to Penn State. And I think if you're a college football fan, you have to absolutely love this. Now, it's a little different, the risk reward of him staying now compared to a couple of years ago. Drew Allar is a guy that's making significant money in college football. I don't know the complete details of his NIL package, but it has to be between 3 to 4 million a year. And he's already started. He's going on his third year of starting. So again, this guy's a multi-millionaire. A lot of people I like to use the injury factor if he were to have a big injury or whatever. Hope he doesn't, but that's always something people like to argue about. But he's making significant money. And I really love a guy that's so committed to his program that he's really putting this team and this program over his future. Because, like I said, he could have sat here and said, I completed my goal for the NFL. I became a top draft pick. We did it. But no, he's staying. His team made a huge investment in this offseason of these veterans staying, and they're going to be in the top odds for a national championship. And I think Drew Allar could really absolutely explode this college football season and be in the same spot next year. He could be a legend at Penn State, a legend in Happy Valley, a team that's never been able to get over the hump. James Franklin never been able to get over the hump. But I think this is their best team probably since the Trace McSorley, Saquon Barkley days when Saquon Barkley was really exploding his last year. This is probably the best team they have since then. And again, for a team that finished the season so heartbreaking, they were in the final four of teams. A guy that finished the season so heartbreaking, Drew Allar throwing a game-ending interception when they could have went to the national championship. I think he made the complete right move. I love it as a college football fan. I think he's going to absolutely explode this year, whether they win the national championship or not. And I think you're going to see possibly a 4,000-yard season out of Drew Allar, definitely over 3,500. I think you're going to see season highs from him. Again, I know it's not that bold of a statement. I mean, we're talking about a top pick staying another year. He should absolutely explode. But I think you're going to see Drew Allar's best season. I think you're going to see a true national championship contender in Penn State, a true Heisman candidate in Drew Allar. Again, he's going to reach his peak of what he wanted to reach in college football. And again, I absolutely love it. Drew Allar staying in college, playing football for the right reasons. As we're seeing so many people in this NIL day, NIL era, not doing that. Only wanting to play for the money, trying to get the max money they could possibly get. Drew Allar did not do that. He decided to stay, and I love it. That wraps up this episode of Sloppy Saturdays, and we are out.